Hey yo, what's good? It's your boy Mixtape Moth, and today I'm going to share with y'all my initial thoughts on this upcoming versus battle between the Lox and Dipset. So this is strictly a New York City affair. You have two iconic groups who are going to be battling it out for New York rap supremacy. Obviously, the Lox got their start in the 90s, as did Cameron, but the majority of folks associate both groups with the 2000s. Now, based on the reactions that I've seen on social media, this looks like it's going to be an extremely competitive versus battle. And thank God, because I gotta keep it a buck, I really wasn't feeling the concert vibe of the last couple of verses. I know this is probably an unpopular take, but I couldn't get into the Red and Meth battle as much as I could the Jada versus Fab or the Gucci versus Jeezy. And it wasn't because I don't consider Red and Meth to be two of the greatest MCs from the 90s, but it was because I wasn't trying to see a concert. Now it seems like people are back to choosing sides, and they seem to be pretty emotionally invested in their choices, and that's how a versus battle should be. That's just me though. Nonetheless, it is interesting to see how fans are aligning themselves going into this battle. I get the sense that the individuals who embrace traditional lyricism and perhaps more boom bap are rooting for the Lox, whereas fans of street rap or swag rap or people who like West Coast and Southern hip hop just as much as they do East Coast are choosing Dipset. But I found the motivations for each to be a little interesting. Now, in the case of the Lox, they are clearly the superior lyricists, but they've always represented the streets and they've been commercially well known. Let's not forget that the Lox did release an album with hits during Puffy's Shiny Suit era, and it really doesn't get more commercial than that. Now, we know they redeemed themselves with their 2000 album We Are the Streets, but then again, I knew some casual listeners who liked songs from that album as well. Now, let's talk about Dipset. So they had a unique and refreshing sound at the particular time when they stepped on the scene as a crew. They did attract a younger audience and some casual listeners. That's a fact, but they were heavily embraced by the streets of New York just as much as the Lox. The difference being they weren't deemed as lyrical as Jada, Styles, and Chic. I do recall some purists at the time who looked down on Dipset for their style of rhyming and their commercialism, but I think these individuals were in the minority, and I don't think they were listening to the Lox at this time either. I just feel like people are doing a bit of revisionist history when looking at both groups, because I recall vividly how things were as I was outside. Now, as a fan of hardcore and traditional rap, I personally had no problem embracing Dipset at the time. I thought their sound was refreshing and something new. In fact, if we want to compare the mixtape run between the Lox and Dipset, I actually prefer Dipset's. For me, those early K Slay Dipset mixtapes, the Writer's Block series, and the early Joel's mixtapes were complete fire. But like I said earlier, the Lox are better rappers. So if you want to examine things purely on a lyrical perspective, then I can see why you would have the Lox winning. But as important as lyrics are in a versus, it's really only half the battle, as I feel energy, timing, and the nostalgia associated with certain songs is just as important. There's a strategy involved. You gotta have a strong counterpunch game as well. It's oftentimes just about who can capture that raw energy and get the drop on their opponent, kind of like Jada did to Fab. When talking about the songs from each camp, I feel both groups have a strong 20-pack, both have anthems, but if we're gonna go anthem for anthem, I'm probably gonna give this slight edge to Dipset. But things will be really interesting nonetheless, and I love how this is shaping up to be a competition again. At this point, I am riding with Dipset slightly, even though I rock with the Lox heavy, and it's basically because people are saying Dipset can't do it. Or it's being suggested that if you love lyricism, then you have to root for the Lox. And I just don't like being boxed in like that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Who do you realistically see winning, and who would you personally like to win? It's your boy Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out, but be sure to hit that like button and please subscribe. As always, it's peace and blessings. The Locks vs. Dipset 1.